What's up, y'all? Welcome to CD Talks, where we don't just talk about movies, TV, and culture, but we talk about what they teach us in life. And today we're talking about why Michael Bay's Transformers hits harder than a lot of CGI today. Now, it might sound a little crazy, but the CGI that was done back then on that Transformers is a lot better than what I'm seeing nowadays with stuff like Marvel and things like that, where they're just spitting out CGI and it's turning out to be where it's not cohesive in the visualization of the story. And I'm not talking about just because they look cool and the designs are nice, but the weight, the scale, the heaviness they felt on screen is a lot different than what we're getting nowadays. The robots actually felt like they were there. I remember me and my brother, after seeing the first one, when we went to go to the playground up at the mall where the movies were, we felt like the Transformers were still chasing us after the movie because it was just that heaviness and the way the presence performed on screen. Every time I rewatch these movies, I'm like, bro, what are we doing now? Like, we took a huge step back, and I'm trying to figure out why this is the case, especially when technology has further advanced more so over the past 5 years than it has from back then when these came out till about now. But I digress. So today we're breaking down why Michael Bay's Transformer film CGI is a lot better than the ones that we're getting nowadays. We're not only talking about that, but where the franchise came from, how Michael Bay shaped it, and why, like them or love them, these Transformer films still hit way harder than a lot of films today. Before Michael Bay, before the giant robots tearing through cities, before Linkin Park playing in the back while the world collapses, Transformers was already a massive cultural icon. The franchise started in the 1980s as a collaboration between two companies and animation studios, built around the idea of mechanical things that could disguise themselves as everyday vehicles. But what really made Transformers' idea stick wasn't just the gimmick, but it was the mythology. Autobots versus Decepticons, freedom versus domination, Optimus Prime versus Megatron. These weren't just robots fighting, these were ideologies clashing, wrapped in bright colors and Saturday morning energy. But for decades, Transformers lived mostly in animation, and animation allows you to cheat. You can use whatever, do whatever. You don't need gravity, you don't need weight, you don't need realism. So the question was always, could Transformers ever work in live action without looking ridiculous? Most people, even fans, were not convinced.
Who would you be without me, Prime? Time to find out.
And then comes Michael Bay. Regardless if you like him or not, the man understands spectacle. He understands scope, size, and everything of the such. He understands movement, momentum, scale, and how to make something feel massive on screen. His background in commercials trained him how to make images pop quickly.
And now let's make that random call with today's $10,000 question. It's a tough one. Who shot Alexander Hamilton in that famous duel?
Here's the thing people don't talk about enough. The Transformer CGI was brutally over-engineered and on purpose. Each Transformer wasn't a smooth model. They were made up of tens of thousands of individual moving components, gears, pistons, plates, hydraulics, all animated independently. That means when Optimus Prime transforms, it doesn't feel like a visual trick. It feels like a machine violently reconfiguring itself in real time. And crucially, Bay and his VFX teams anchored the robots in real lighting. Sunlight hits the metal the way it's supposed to, shadows fall naturally, dust interacts with the bodies, explosions illuminate surfaces instead of floating in front of them. Compare that to a lot of modern CGI where characters look clean, soft, weightless, almost like they're passed into the scene after the fact. Transformers felt never past it, they felt present, and that's why a lot of shots still hold up till this day.
You're so weak.
Another aspect I believe as to why the Michael Bay films still hold up is that it has world building through its chaos. Because visually the world reacts to the robots that are reacting upon them. For example, the buildings don't just explode, they crumble. You can see the rubble and the dust that falls along with the building. Cars don't just flip, they crumble, they slide, they scatter.
Watch out, watch out, watch out!
And people not just standing still, they running, screaming, scattering, panicking. Bay stages action like a disaster unfolding in real time. The camera moves like a witness and not a spectator. That chaotic energy tricks your brain into believing what you're seeing is real. Because the disasters are messy, they're loud, and disorienting. And all the films establish rules. Transformers leave damage behind, cities don't magically reset, injuries matter, consequences linger, and that level of environmental storytelling is a huge part of why the world feels lived in instead of artificial. And here's the uncomfortable truth. CGI isn't worse because technology got worse. Like I said earlier, technology has advanced farther than it has in the past 5 years since this movie came out, or since these series came out. It's worse because production pipelines have been rushed and overworked, these VFX teams, to the point where they can't take their time in digitally animating each scene to where it feels like it's lived in and not like you're just bypassing the screen. And with that, a lot of studios rely on green screen, virtual stages, and last minute changes. That means you got lighting inconsistencies, rushed renders, and unfinished shots making it into the cut. I know y'all remember that Thor scene. Yeah, what was that? Michael Bay shot in real places, real explosions, real vehicles. I remember seeing the behind the scenes footage around when it first came out, and I remember him blowing up vehicles, and I was like, can this guy do that? But things like that make the film feel very lived in and like we're actually there. And I think that's why afterwards, whenever me and my brother watched the movie, we were playing on the playground because the world felt so real after we saw the movie that it was so easy to imagine it once we got up to the playground. With all of those elements, then layering CGI on top of it, it makes the world feel a lot more lived in than replacing reality. That approach gives the effects something solid to latch onto, and when CGI is grounded in something real, your brain buys it. Transformers didn't chase the clean, it chased impact. And that's why years later, those movies still hit like a truck.
Nobody messes with the twins!
Now, Transformers movies are not perfect. I'm not saying that they are perfect, but the CGI is something to enjoy every single time. If you just want to throw it on and look at something that has a nice scale and spectacle, these are the perfect movies for it. That's what I do when I'm in the mood for something like this. These Transformer movies are a masterclass on how to make unreal things feel real. Michael Bay didn't just adapt Transformers. He redefined how large-scale CGI can feel grounded, physical, and overwhelming in the best way possible. And whether Hollywood wants to admit it or not, they're still chasing that impact today. Thank you.